So y'all have been in Austin, or you have been in Austin for over 25 years?
That's right, 27 years.
Where are you originally from?
I was born in Africa, a country called Rhodesia, which is now Zimbabwe.
Okay.
My parents were born there too. We immigrated here in 1978.
Okay.
There were some missionaries in Africa that saw my family was in need. We were in a civil war.
Yeah.
My dad was fighting in that war, and they saw a man with a wife and 4 small children and said, "We need to help these people." So they sponsored us. We came to the U.S. and got our green cards, and eventually, when I was in college, I got my citizenship.
So, how I want to say I knew that, but I'm up in age, so I didn't realize those details. And I'm going to expand on that if I can.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, the first thing that someone thinks of, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, is when you say that you're from Africa, they're going to think that you're a person of color.
Right.
Okay,
right.
unless it's South Africa.
Yes.
So
yes.
Being a person that's not of color, clearly, what was that like coming over from Africa as a little guy and adapting? And there are 3 siblings as well.
Yes.
Now, I want to talk about your parents too.
Yeah.
But having to adapt to a completely different cultural change, and you're being sponsored by a missionary group.
Right. Yeah. Well, it was interesting because we ended up living in an RV in the family of these missionaries.
Where were
their
you?
Parents
Where were you?
in Ennis, Texas.
Okay. Yep.
So we
North
lived in their
Texas.
RV for 3 months, and then my dad got a job in Stanton, Texas, which is near Midland.
Oil and gas?
Yeah. Well, my dad actually, he got a preaching job, so he
Okay.
became a preacher.
Okay.
He had not been a preacher before, but that's the job he found, and it was in a town called Stanton. They have a sign outside, when you enter the town that said, "Welcome to Stanton, home of 3,000 friendly people and a few old sore heads." And that's where we moved. And of course, people there were like, "Hey, this family from Africa is coming," and we show up, and they weren't excited about us.
Right.
But so we not only did we move from Africa to the U.S., we moved to West Texas.
Right. Yeah,
where
you're going down that rabbit hole,
culturally,
brother.
it was very different.
Yep.
We were all speaking English, and they couldn't understand us, and we couldn't understand them.
Were y'all speaking with an accent?
Yes.
Like, what was your accent?
Yeah.
Because I think of like a South African accent.
More like a British accent.
Okay.
Yeah, from
Okay.
Rhodesia, it was more British than the Afrikaner side. But certainly people were like, "What'd you say?" And we were like, "What'd you say?"
Usually in West Texas, when they say, "What'd you say?" the next thing is it's a knife or gunfight after that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they might use terminology like, "Hey, it hurts when you mash on my stomach," and we were like, "What does mash mean?"
Well, and what a lot of people don't know is that through oil and gas, that area of Stanton, there are a lot of multi-millionaires out there.
That's right.
That have the royalty income from oil and gas. And so our family having some exposure out there, I actually have driven through Stanton many times.
Yeah.
And there are, like you said, 3,000 very friendly people out there, but then you got the old goats too.
Yeah. You got
know?
those sore heads.
And
no
I guess
doubt.
you probably had to deal with that, growing up. How long were y'all in Stanton for?
We were there for 9 years.
9 years.
Yeah, and then we moved to South Texas. I graduated from high school from a town called Sabinal near Uvalde.
Okay.
And then I went to college at Abilene Christian University, and all my siblings went there, in fact.
All your siblings went to Abilene Christian?
Yeah, that's right.
And so, for those of us that don't know, Abilene Christian is actually a fantastic school that actually, men and women of faith, their children will go there, and many of them will become, preachers and missionaries. Yeah. Wow.
That's right. That's right.
And so, was your father? Was he still? Was he still a man of the pulpit? Whenever y'all
Yeah. In fact, he retired in 2017.
Okay.
So he preached for a good, almost 40 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So a lot of people, many people know Uvalde because of what happened recently with the school shooting, and God bless those kids and those families, right? Yeah. But and of course we know that McConaughey and his family are from there, and
right.
In his book Green Lights, and he said for all these years, if you would listen to him, it's one of the greatest places to raise a family and grow up as a kid.
Yeah,
and I know that part of Texas, it's as gorgeous as any place in Texas that you're going to find next to Big Bend. And what was that like growing up as a kid there?
I liked it. I mean, and again, it was only my last 2 years of high school there, but we loved going to Concan, Garner State Park.
So
It
beautiful.
was just, and people were coming there for vacation, so it
Yep.
was kind of a fun place to be because people were happy
Yep.
there. But
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. I mean, it was definitely a contrast from West Texas, which is flat and dusty.
Right.
Now we're in trees and hills and rivers, so I enjoyed that a lot. It was tough moving in high school, but I had kind of my eyes on the future. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm going to go to college and
What was
do
your goal? What was your goal to go to Abilene Christian? Like, what was your choice to, it sounds like all the kids went there, so it sounds like it was predestined, but it's a great school. And, they've actually, I know from the athletics side of things, in the school itself, they've grown into a fantastic Division I school.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Well, of course, and their track team has always been great, but they get a lot of athletes from other countries.
Yeah, okay.
And they come over and they just dominate.
Yeah.
But, for me, when we lived in Africa, a lot of the missionaries that came to Africa touted these Christian schools like Abilene Christian. And so my parents just always had it in their mind that one day we want our children to go to this university. My parents never went to college, but they had it in their mind that they were going to get us to go, and we all bought in. But my parents, I think the thing that I look back on was that they never really, it was never about them saying, you've got to do this or you've got to go to church. It was always, they made it like it was an exciting thing, like, hey, we get to go to church. You guys ready? You get to go to university. So we bought into that.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And so would you say y'all came over together? So does that makes you a first generation immigrant?
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
And is she a second generation?
I guess that's right.
Yeah. Okay.
I would
Her
think
parents had
that's-
come over, and then was she born here? Or
She was born here. Yeah,
Okay,
she was born in Memphis, Tennessee, and then grew up in Houston.
Okay. Okay. So, and I think I would have loved for her to have been here today, but she's the one that's probably having to manage those 75 loans that y'all have in your pipeline.
Right.
But so you go from Abilene Christian, and from that point to getting into the mortgage industry, which you did, like in 2002?
2002.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. When did you graduate college?
93.
93.
Yeah.
Okay. Same time we did. Yeah.
Okay,
So
yeah.
we're the same age.
Yeah,
I know
that's
we had
right.
talked about
That's
that
right.
before, but so from 93 to 02, run through that. What led up to getting into mortgage?
Yeah. So I got out of, graduated from college, went straight to work for Norwest Financial, consumer finance. I didn't know what I was doing. I walked around town with my resume and walked into businesses.
Where was that? Where were you living?
In Abilene at that
Abilene,
time.
okay.
Yeah, started with them, consumer finance, and then I decided, my parents were living in Austin at that point because they'd moved to Austin while I was in college, and I decided I want to move to Austin, and I think I need to get into banking because banking seemed like a good foundation for business.
And you had that foundation with Norwest.
For
right?
sure,
Yeah, you
absolutely.
got a taste of it. Okay.
Yeah, and so ended up getting a job with First State Bank, which was Joe Long's bank.
Okay.
Joe Long would come in all the time, and got to know him and meet him and know him, and he was a great guy.
For those that are here in Austin and those that aren't, the Long Center.
Yes, exactly.
Named after one Joe Long.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. And I got into banking, and then in about 2002, got into mortgage. Bank of America. Sonia taught me the business, taught me how to lock loans.
Was she there when you got there?
Yes.
And so that's when y'all met?
Yep,
Okay.
that's right.
Okay,
That's
so
right.
she brought you in under her wing, so to speak.
Yeah.
Was she originating?
She
at the
was
time?
originating, yeah.
Okay.
And she was top 10 for Bank of America in the nation. So she was great originator and taught me the business, and it was feast or famine. So I was just like, hey, I gotta grind or I'm not gonna pay my bills.
Was Brian Azell there at that
Yeah.
time? Did y'all work
That's
together
right.
with
Yeah,
him?
we did work with
Yeah,
Brian.
so y'all
Brian
had-
and Deborah.
Brian and Deb,
Yeah.
yeah. And of course, he's crushing it over at First United,
that's
as we know,
right.
leading that team over there. They over $1 billion a year is what they're
Wow.
doing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane.
They got a lot of great producers over there.
So
for
y'all
sure.
had a dream team at B of A for a period of time.
Yeah.
Some great producers, and y'all were able to learn from one another on your skill sets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was definitely, I guess what you'd want to call synergy in the office, right? People were, you're walking around, you're working, you're trying to solve problems, you're, bouncing things off of people. And I kind of miss having an environment like that.
Yep.
Because sometimes someone has an idea that you never thought of.
There's no doubt, right?
Yeah.
And just someone with a positive energy mindset.
Yes.
You feed off of that.
Yeah.
What did y'all have, like a production office, or did
We
y'all
did.
Okay.
Yeah, we were at Fifth and Congress.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, like in today's world, you think of the B of A's, the Wells, the Chases, the cities of the world, and you just don't think about there being great service that you get
Right.
from a Vista Lending, for example. And I've always used that as a tool, not in a negative sense, but hey, so and so, you're talking to B of A, they've got a great rate, as an example. But man, just be prepared. Hey, go with them, cool. I'll be your cheerleader, right? I'd love for you to work with me.
Yeah.
We're going to give you great pricing, but here's what you're going to get in addition to that, right?
Yes.
And how did y'all manage that experience and that expectation when others, someone maybe like myself, that would say, okay, you're with B of A, well, just be ready. How would y'all overcome that?
You know, I feel like at that time in the mortgage business, I mean, you know, the retail channels had some good people working for them. You know, they had some career loan officers.
Yep.
I don't know that it's that way anymore because people tend to leave. Maybe it's for basis points, right?
Or big sign-on bonus.
Or just the process. I mean, I didn't love the centralized processing. I think we kind of sold people on, hey, we're going to do your loan and we're going to service your loan too. Your loan stays here.
Stays with us.
You know, and so to get out of that at some point, I didn't have that as a selling point anymore. So I really had to sell them on the experience of the transaction for 30 days.
Yeah, the experience.
That's right. That's right. And quite honestly, I mean, that's been a continual evolution over my 20-year career on the process. You know, how do we make it better? How do we make it more efficient? Because, you know, what I know now, I didn't know 5 years ago, and probably 5 years from now.
There's another song right there.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And what I will know in 5 years, I will know hopefully more than I know now, and might say, hey, there's a better way to do this.